Friend who was assaulted by my dad died. I'm 28, sad I can't go to her funeral. We were friends since elementary school. Our first day of second grade. We bonded instantly because we had the same Pokemon backpack. Classmates used to tease us and call us BF/GF, but she was always like the sister I never had. She was my best friend and I really thought she was always gonna be in my life. But then we got older and it happened. My sick piece of shit dad got locked up and she was dealing with so much she didn't want to see me anymore. Couldn't imagine the pain she went through and it made me sick to think it was someone so close to me who did this to her. Her family and everyone else hated us after that because of what he did. We ended up having to move my senior year of HS because it got pretty bad and people weren't leaving our family alone. I never got to tell her I was sorry for what he did and for not knowing he hurt her. I spent years after that wondering if she hated me, if she got help to deal with the trauma and was having a better life now after everything. A couple years ago I found her Facebook and was tempted to message her, but I knew she probably didn't want to hear from me. Nobody should have to have any reminders in their life of what happened to them and I knew that's what I would be to her. Couldn't help it though, I kept tabs on her every now and then. Just wanted to make sure she was able to move on and was living a happy life. That she at least was able to find her own way to keep living because she deserved it. And seems like she did. Got married and graduated. But I learned last week she passed away and I'm crushed. I ended up leaving work early because I just wasn't feeling good. We haven't been in each other's lives in almost 11 years but I still feel that loss and it hurts so bad. I guess just knowing that I'll never get to see her again or have that chance to apologize. My heart feels too heavy. What hurts is that I know I won't be welcome at the funeral. I mean her family shouldn't have to deal with old wounds while they're trying to grieve, so I get it. But still, it hurts. I'm so sorry to hear. You definitely should donate to charity to honor her memory. Maybe you could bring flowers and Pokemon cards to her grave. Say the things you wish you could tell her at her grave or write a letter and leave it at her tombstone. If her grave is in another city/country, you'll have to wait before you can do that. In the meantime, look for grief counseling, groups or one-on-one, over Zoom and a therapist to help you cope with trauma. Wish you, your mother and her loved ones the best. I'm sorry for your loss. If you cannot go to the funeral, you can do your own private ceremony. Fuck, I'm so sorry dude, that's really awful. Therapy is the only thing I can recommend. You weren't assaulted but you have still been hurt, traumatized and suffering from your father's crimes. That grief and pain is so much to handle for anyone, let alone for the age you were when it happened. I'm so sorry. Maybe a donation in her memory to a charity for victims of assault would be good for you to honor her memory. A way to feel connected and say goodbye without being at her funeral. Write down what you'd like to say to her if could speak to her now, and also another letter for your father with what you'd say to the man who damaged so many lives. In my country it's customary to send a mass card/sympathies card to the family of someone who had died. You may not feel comfortable or like it's appropriate, but maybe in a few weeks you could have it and flowers delivered to her grave. You're not your father and it's terrible that your friendship, home life and your friend's childhood was destroyed by his crime. I'm sorry. I hope you can find peace and the support you need. Remember too that saying goodbye to someone doesn't need to mean funeral attendance. It can be a private moment where you honor a person's life and the loss. I hope she did get the help she needed after that, but I hope you do now too. You were a victim of what he did too. None of it was your fault. I'm sure she realized that. You also put her feelings ahead of your own by giving her the space she obviously needed, and I know she appreciated that. I had something similar happen and dealt with it by moving away from everything and everyone I knew at the time, just to start fresh. Moving forward in a new direction made it easier to stop thinking about it. For me it was a coping mechanism to flip off that switch in my brain. Sounds like she did something similar. But I never blamed anyone who didn't directly cause harm. I'm sure she didn't blame you for what your father did, and always remembered you for the thoughtful person you clearly are. Your pain and sadness are totally valid. Your compassion for her family's feelings is immense and wonderful. I am sorry for you, and her family, and everyone else your father's actions hurt. Please consider speaking about your feeling on this topic to a therapist, as you deserve to move on and find peace as well. Much love. Stay strong. Creeped out by my 22M girlfriend, 22F. My girlfriend is way out of my league and I love her to pieces, so I'm going to start off by saying I'm not even thinking about breaking up with her. I just want to know what other people think about this, and what I can do to help her. First quirk of hers I noticed was back when we were just flirting. She wears band-aids around all of her nails because she bites them, which isn't all that weird, but she'll bite into the pink part too until she has no nail. Once, I saw her studying and she got so frustrated she started hitting herself in the head. I ended up pulling her hands away from her, but she'd already managed to bruise herself. The thing that's really starting to make me concerned is that she never gets fully naked. She has a naked outfit which is basically a shirt and a pair of women's boxers, and she even wears it in the shower. She also needs me to be dressed, top and bottom, during intimate moments. This means we've never had actual BF sex, and our sex life basically consists of her performing sex acts on me while I do absolutely nothing to get her off. She says that she loves it that way, but I still feel a little guilty. I don't know if this is relevant, but she also has a weird interest in pegging me and having me dress up like a girl, which doesn't bother me, but it's a bit unconventional. Also, when I go out for the day and she's at home, she does literally nothing. She has a creative career that she basically works on 24/7 at home, but as soon as I leave, she says she doesn't have the energy for it. She's completely normal outside of this, bubbly, upbeat, extroverted, etc. But I'm just worried what it all means. I've asked her about some of the stuff, but she just sort of plays it off like it's no big deal. Is there anything I can do to help her? Does she even need help? Sounds like it could be something like obsessive-compulsive disorder. I had some of these behaviors when I was younger and had more severe OCD. I would never get naked in the shower, I would hit my head, because of obsessive intrusive thoughts were frustrating, not because of frustration with work. I didn't do nail biting, but the nail biting sounds like a lot of anxiety. This was me as a teen. I'm now in my 30s and fine thanks to CBT. Everything besides the pegging kink really clearly point to mental health issues, and she definitely needs help ASAP. She's an ever nude. Are they jean shorts? Sounds a bit like lasting effects of some sort of childhood trauma. But I've read the other comments and Asperger's and OCD also sounds highly plausible. I agree with everyone else that some sort of therapy is seriously needed. I was worried about childhood trauma when it comes to the nudity and our sex life. I will 100% support her if that's the case, and I wish she could open up to me about it. I just know it's such a sensitive subject that I don't want to push it. If it is or if it isn't, I think she should still try therapy, but I don't want to push her into a corner with it and drive her away. She could possibly be hiding self-harm wounds and scars. My mom is making me keep the abuse I went through a secret. My ex-husband abused me pretty badly. Whatever abuse you could think of, and make it 10 times worse. That's what I had to go through for 2 years. I've been divorced for 1 year now and I'm still going to therapy because of it. I never let anyone pursue me. He ruined me forever. While I'm going through all this shit, he got engaged. I shared with my mom that I want to text his fiancée and tell her that he's not who she thinks he is and that he's an abusive rapist psychopath, but my mom told me not to. Maybe he changed, he's starting a new life. Don't be the person ruining new beginnings. She's the first person I ever told about the abuse. She told me not to report it, not to take the rape kit, not to press charges, not to tell his family, not to tell my dad, not to tell anyone, or else I'll just be another victim. People would just see me as a weak woman or someone who couldn't defend themselves. I can't just sit back and watch what happened to me happen to someone else. What if he didn't change? I can't believe he could change. No matter what kind of therapy he goes through, he would manipulate his therapist. I know so much crap about this man, I could ruin his whole life and career. but I'm not doing that because I love his family. My mother threatened to cut me off if I ever do anything about it. She says I'm not over it. Well, yes, I'm not over it, but I don't want to tell this woman what he did just to ruin his life. I'm telling her because I love her. Even if I don't know her, I don't want anyone ever to go through it. It's not envy, it's a warning. I wish I could just close my eyes and wake up someone different with a different life and no past, but I'm here trying to make the right decision. His mother would totally come after me for telling that to his fiance. Did I mention that I ran to her once to tell her everything and asked her to stay until my mom could get me, and she called him to take me home? Your mother is despicable. She should be your advocate, not the one with the broom shoving you under the rug. You are her family. She should be storming the gates with you to get justice, but instead she's the coward. She doesn't want the drama in her life. She doesn't care about you or the damage done to you in this situation. That's disgusting. I would have cut her off for this. Why keep such a woman in your life? Stand up for yourself and get your justice any way you can. First off, your mom is terrible. I wish you didn't listen to her at all since the beginning. She obviously cares about him and her own public image more than you. But at this point, even if you said anything with good intentions to his fiancé, there is very low possibility that she would take you seriously. If you really want to save her, you need to show her proof, not your words. Personally, I wouldn't believe an ex-wife if there is no proof. Plus, he can take revenge. So be careful. After I left my abusive husband, my mom told me to go back and try to work it out because divorce is a sin. Sometimes moms do not know what's best. Also tried to warn his next wife. She didn't believe me even though he had been charged with DV and the court records were freely available online. Apparently none of his next 3 wives believed it until they experienced it. They never do. I think your intention is good. I've been there and I know. But if I were you, I'd stay out of it. Stop worrying about your mom and his mom and everyone else and focus on your healing. Don't be the person ruining new beginnings. That's what he did. Your mom ruined your chance to get justice, and maybe enabling him to make another victim. If you can stop that from happening, do it. And F his family. If you ruin his life, so be it. You have the right of it 100%. You're doing this out of love and a desire to protect another woman from having to go through what you went through. You sound incredibly brave from your post, and you're right, it doesn't like he can change. Be careful going forward, and I wish you all the luck in the world.